Grammar Chapter 7, Week 5.
Really is crazy.
You will find the directions. Follow along here. Okay? Oops, sorry. And just so you know, these are the things that we're going to cover this week. Or prepositional phrases. That's what we're going to start with. So we'll just... This is our last chapter on prepositional phrases. So if you guys are tired of hearing about prepositional phrases, that's good because we're about done.
Congratulations.
Okay, so guys, prepositional phrases start with a what?
A preposition.
A preposition. Prepositional phrases end with a...
And with...
Prepositional phrases end with a...
Noun.
Good! Woohoo! Hot dog.
Normally a direct
We
on.
missed. Okay, good.
Ow.
Okay, so all prepositional phrases start with a preposition and end with a noun, right? Most of the prepositional phrases that we have seen recently, up until now, have had a modifier in the middle of it. I'm going right off of page 27, chapter 7. If you guys want to follow along, read ahead. So a modifier is another word for adjective. What are the common modifiers that we have seen at the articles? Exactly. So we normally see at the park, or to the dog, or with the ball. The is a common one. But did you know that prepositional phrases, I've written some on the board here, they can be two-word prepositional phrases without the modifier. Can you make sure that they see the ones on the board? These, all of them, do they start with, we have a preposition, right? Preposition. And they end with a, what'd you say?
Noun.
A noun, home. So near home. There's not any modifiers in there, but that is a prepositional phrase. They're kind of tricky to see because you are maybe used to seeing three-word prepositional phrases. What's the preposition here?
To.
Sure. What's the noun here?
School.
So if it starts with a preposition and ends with a noun, it's a prepositional phrase. What about this one?
Before is the preposition.
Awesome. Oops. Okay.
And the lunch is a noun.
Good. And so that must be a whole prepositional phrase, right? Good. So that part is pretty darned easy. You can write some of those down if you need to. Write some down and go to your prepositional phrase or prepositions tab on parts of speech. If you want to write some of those tricky, what they consider tricky prepositions down just to remind you, that's great. That'll be helpful. Okay. Speaking of your parts of speech tab, I do want you guys to turn to the parts of speech, your tab that says parts of speech in your notebook. Turn to prepositions. I think I already did this in another lesson, but I actually did it too soon because this is where it actually came in. So on page 28, I'll show you the word. I'd like you on your prepositions page to write the word.
I can't find my parts of speech.
If you haven't done this already, pre and position. I have a bad habit when I write on boards like this. I write really fast and I oftentimes leave out letters and misspell things. So if you see that, yeah, I know I do it. Okay, so in Latin, pre means before, and let's see, if we join the words pre and position, we have preposition. That would mean that the position word is the word that stands before a noun in the positional phrase.
Latin needs to be capitalized because it's a name.
Ooh, good girl. There. How's that? I made it big capital L. Good job, Allie. So it means before, it's the position word that comes before the noun. There's a noun, there's a noun, there's a noun. There's the position word. Okay, it shows position before the noun. So when you write that in your Stevenson grammar, it'll look like this, guys. This section up here. Okay. Also, so this week you're going to be doing item number 8. We'll do one of these on the board real quick and mark it together. Item number 8 shows some of the 2-word prepositions that we just talked about. We'll do number 2. If you guys look at number 8 in your workbook, at home, Joan puts her socks under the bed.
That's a very strange. At is a preposition.
I wonder why she puts them under the bed.
Are we writing this in the prepositions tab?
You can write this under exercises. J-O-A-N.
Exercises at the very front. I have lots of exercises.
Sorry, I can't write this whole sentence on one line. My board's not big enough. Okay, so let's go through what are sentence analysis steps. Oh, where is it at? Speaking of spelling words wrong because I write them too fast, check out how I spelled analysis. Sentence analysis. Nice. Analysis. Okay, what's our first sentence analysis step?
I can do it without looking because you're blocking the way.
Okay, go ahead, please, Allie. You do it.
First one is
take this.
Is read whole sentence.
You're gonna.
First thing
I want you to mark it.
I.
Read the whole sentence. So read the sentence for me.
At home, Joan. I never heard that name.
Yeah.
Joan puts her socks under the bed.
Okay. That's number
And
2.
then number 2 is check for twos.
Okay.
So the twos.
Okay.
And then 3 is find and label preposition words.
Okay.
At.
Good. Well, do all the preposition words. Okay, good. You're right. Okay. You do it in the order here, and then find the other preposition word. Okay, and then mark the nouns, and mark the prepositional phrase. There's other nouns in there. Good.
Nouns and
Well, that's a pronoun, but actually it's an adjective.
Joan.
Joan. Mhm.
Mom, when I write this down and mark it, what chapter is this? When I say week,
It's a very bad.
Oh, good. It's chapter 7, week 5. So thanks, Jack. At the top of your page, of your exercises page, mark chapter 7, week 5. Thank you, Jack. Thanks for a reminder. Okay, then label the adjectives is the last one.
It tells where she puts her socks.
It's a modifier. Adjectives are modifiers that tell which one, how many, whose, what kind. No?
Tells who socks.
You already labeled this word, right? What's this word? You labeled it already. That's a noun. Is puts an adjective?
Yes.
No.
Wait.
Puts.
No.
This is the verb for the sentence. Okay. What about her? What is her?
It's a girl.
It's a girl. Okay. Her is an adjective.
So it tells who socks.
Modifying. Exactly. Tells whose socks. Good job. Good. Okay. What other words are, there's one more word that's not labeled in the sentence.
Wait a minute. Unders? The?
Yes. What is that?
A verb.
Nope.
No.
That one was an article, which is another kind of adjective that tells which.
Doesn't really tell which bed, but whatever.
The bed. I mean, it kind of does. I don't know. It's an article, adjective. Okay, so when you do item number 8, this is how you do item number 8. Allison added more stuff in here than what is necessary.
Verb.
Okay, but this is item number 8 right there. Okay?
Should we write
Okay.
item number 8 next to it?
No, it's okay. I'm just showing you how to do that. All right, another thing that they want us to do to cover real quick is, okay, we did this, we did this, we did this. Tricky prepositions. On page 29 in your teacher's book, they call these things tricky prepositions. I have lost my, okay, there we go.
You didn't lose your
Good
thing.
grief. Tricky prepositions are prepositions. What do we say? Prepositions are position words, right?
Yeah.
Tricky prepositions. I need a darker.
You just need a better marker. Oh, my marker's almost out of juice.
No, this is the blue one. Tricky prepositions are words that do not show preposition, do not show position. So, what was the phrase that we tested preposition words with? We talked about that Abby Lignosky told us about.
What a squirrel can do to a tree or something.
What a squirrel can do to a tree. So, there are some preposition words that don't follow that.
Like before.
Of. A squirrel cannot of a tree, right? Of. You can write these out, well, of, for, and with.
Exercises or in exercises?
Write these down, these position words. Write these down, tricky prepositions on your prepositions page behind your parts of speech tab. So of, for, with. Here's some other ones are during, like, until, and except. Those are all tricky prepositions that do not show position. So you just have to memorize those. And again, I would suggest memorizing a whole long list of prepositions that you can find. You can find songs to memorize prepositions, chants, all that kind of thing. All right, we'll do an example. Okay, so you're going to add that to your parts of speech tab. We're going to demonstrate item 9 real quick. Item 9, so you're going to do item 8, the first 6, and then check them with this answer key, and then do any additional. You need to have additional work on that. Do additional ones. Okay, we're going to do one sentence example. I want the darker. Where's the black one?
Allison had it. Or, didn't you have the marker?
The black market.
Here.
It was that blue one.
Okay, we're going to talk about Joan again. We'll do, actually, yeah, we will do number 2 because it's kind of a tricky one.
And
Joan?
Can this also be under prepositions or?
You can do this under exercises, but I'm just really giving you an example. I'm doing one of the workbooks, so you don't have to do this at all because you're going to do it when you do the workbook page. But if you want to have a little cheat sheet for when you do the workbook page, then I would write this down in your exercises Okay, what's our first thing that we do, Joe?
Read
Come here.
all sentence.
It's okay. Read the whole sentence.
Okay, Joan went with Jean to the school.
Okay. Then check for twos.
To the school.
Okay.
I need a better marker.
Okay. Then find and label position words.
Let me see. Do I just do
You
the
put a
whole
P up here.
phrase?
Nope, do a P.
Okay.
Hey mom, here's a.
Can you get a better marker?
No,
Here's a
just
marker.
use that one.
I have one. It's not blue.
It's just use that one because it's blue.
It's a with preposition.
Uh-huh. Okay. Then no, just use the
No,
blue
it's-
so that because that's black.
So
Just use the blue. Then label your nouns. Okay. And the prepositional phrases. Okay.
so
Find the prepositional phrases. Start with a preposition and with a noun. Good. So there's two prepositional phrases in this one. Notice we had one of the tricky prepositions and one of the short two-sentence prepositions. Okay. Good job. What is went? It's the verb, right? Good job. Okay. Okay. We can be done.
Mom, I'm memorized.
We done?
We can be done.
All right. That's it.
Bye.
After we finished recording, we did exercise number 2, or the activity, I guess, number 2 on page 29, in which you're supposed to say you write down Joan spoke, and then you come up with as many prepositions as you can. Just keep adding to that sentence and see how silly it can get. I would like you guys to try this and add your funny results to Edmodo so we can see too. This is our result. Joan spoke to Jean at the store in the potato section with her mouth beside Chuck Norris under the sign that said potato aisle standing on the ground next to the old bat.